Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay law is set to go into effect this weekend. Tonight, school reps are clearing up confusion about what teachers can and cannot do in the classroom. Local 10's Janine Stanwood is in our newsroom now to break it all down for us. Janine.
Union reps are trying to clear up confusion. Proponents of the law, as you know, say it protects parents who get to decide what their children learn about sexuality and gender and when. Opponents say it's harmful to LGBTQ youth and that the wording is so vague, teachers are having a hard time figuring out the do's and don'ts.
What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Thank you for joining. The parental rights bill in Florida. The official name of this bill, nobody knows it by the official name, but it's HB 1557, Parental Rights in Education, better known as the Don't Say Gay bill.
Signed by the governor in the spring,
Don't Say Gay!
Dubbed Don't Say Gay by critics, and about to go into effect on Friday.
The power of branding and marketing and propaganda. If you want to be relevant culturally and politically, you're going to have to be able to brand yourself and sell your message. And they won that battle for sure. What ends up losing in this shuffle, though, are facts. So this bill is very short. I've read this bill. I'm going to talk about some of the dangers here of ignorance and people who don't know what's happening with the bill. This same thing happens on the federal level. It's just that those bills are so long, it's so much harder to read and do research. This one is a very simple, easy, quick bill, so it's easy to discern fact from fiction. No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen says, new LGBTQ teachers in Orange County, Florida are being told to take down photos of their same-sex spouses in their classrooms and not talk about them to students following the Don't Say Gay law taking effect. All rainbow articles of clothing are being banned per WFTV.
A handful of teachers asking questions about things they worry could cause them to inadvertently risk their license, like displaying photos of a significant other or a rainbow flag. The answers aren't clear.
Aurora asks about displaying rainbow flags in her classroom. Do we have an idea? Is that allowed?
Have reached out to the Department of Education to see if there will be guidelines released to school districts.
This is a dangerous tweet because with this tweet, he's tying in these actions that people are taking at the school level to the Don't Say Gay law. So I'm like, that's not the law that I read. Let me just double check, and I'm going to go over in detail here. These actions that these teachers are taking are not tied into the law, in my opinion, in my interpretation. And for anyone who's making an action on any law anywhere, but let's talk about Florida, if teachers are going to be making an action and tying it to the Don't Say Gay law, I want them to show me where in the law there's a question. That's not to be antagonistic. I just want to narrow down on facts. And there's only one section in that whole bill that's kind of ambiguous that we need to talk about in depth. It's section 3. I will go over that in detail.
So we want to refresh you right now on what the law actually says. It says this: it mandates schools to notify parents about changes to their child's mental or emotional well-being. The only exception is for cases that may lead to abuse or neglect. It also allows parents to opt out of health services offered by the school. Here's the most controversial part, though. It bans classroom instruction on gender or sexuality from kindergarten through 3rd grade, as well as older grades if the instruction isn't age appropriate.
But look how dangerous the reaction is. The people on the left, particularly, it's anybody on any side. But in my opinion, people who have a leftist mind state, they tend to live in the 100% emotions arena more than the non-left. And this is how it looks. Mab says, so according to the United States Supreme Court, a football coach is protected under 1A, the First Amendment, and can hold a prayer session in school, while gay teachers are not allowed to have photos, no rainbow colors, and cannot talk about their husbands, wives, or partners. Do I have that right? No, actually, you don't have that right, Mab. Somebody said it's called Christofascism, replying to Mab. These are people who are ignorant. They have not done the research. There's no facts here, of course. At least Mab asked the question. I'm not against Mab, but this I am against this. It's Christofascism. That doesn't help us here. My Christian mom is so appalled by what these Christians are doing to people down here, but I asked if I could not use the word Christofascism because the word triggers her a bit. So what a mess. What do you mean by what the Christians are doing down there? The bill it's not just tied to Christians. It's bigger than that. It's really about parental rights. Somebody said, well, a guy teacher can talk about his wife, but not if his spouse is a guy. That's incorrect from my interpretation of it. I don't think that's correct at all. These are all emotional responses. More misinformation, malinformation, verified on Twitter. Wait, Governor DeSantis and the Republican Florida legislators promised this was just a law designed to stop inappropriate sexual discussions with children. Now LGBT teachers have to take photos of their spouses off their desks. I do want to hear from the governor and Florida representatives. I don't think that's in the bill. Nobody said that they had to do that. Who'd have known this would have happened? Everyone. Now I'm going to take a second right here to pause the video and reply to this. I am going to go over some criticism of DeSantis and representatives in Florida because I don't think the rollout was clear enough. And to me, one of the bigger problems I have with the bill is I don't want the bill out there if the public isn't clear on what it does and what it doesn't. So that is on DeSantis and the representatives. But we are not seeing genuine conversation here. My first thought is when I saw this clip, I'm like, this has gone so far. People know that they have no facts, so they start doing stupid stuff like this.
We're going to have a great night tonight, and for you people in Florida, we're going to have a gay night.
Spider sense start tingling.
It was awkward. It was awkwardly delivered and done because they knew where their position was. It wasn't based on truth. It's not based on facts. This is ass-hattedry. This is dumb acidry. This is whatever name you can make up to talk about stupidity. It's childish. They know they don't have any facts here. It's just virtual signaling. And really, my spidey sense starts going off when I see stuff like this, whether it's on MAGA or Republicans, Democrats, whoever's doing it.
Spider sense start tingling.
My spidey sense starts tingling. And for it to be played on for emotions to hate people, to hate Florida, to hate DeSantis, it's gone too far. It's despicable. I read the parental rights bill in Florida multiple times. I did a video way back on the channel with the early versions when it was K through 6, and I didn't see anything in there, still don't, that leads to same-sex couples having to take down photos of their spouses. So if a school makes somebody or a teacher does that, don't tie that into the bill unless they tell you exactly where they're tying it into. We need to get this emotion, this, oh, this, that, this, we hate this, we don't like this, look at this, fascist this.
Say gay! Say gay!
Today, dozens of Disney employees walked off the job.
Out here just in support of all of our employees and their families.
Take that out, give me some facts. I was reviewing for my own knowledge Kennedy versus Bremerton, which is the case where the high school coach was praying on the field that people referenced earlier in this video.
From former Bremerton football coach Joe Kennedy, less than 2 hours now after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in his favor, saying he should be allowed to pray on the football fields after games. Coach Kennedy said he routinely offered prayers after games at midfield and never asked kids to pray, but after the district found out what was happening, they asked him to stop. He eventually lost his job.
But off of that, in the opinion for that, they referenced this case called Tinker versus Des Moines. And if you are, I looked at a video online, I read about it, and they were talking about this in high school AP government. So people who are into law know all this stuff. This is the first I've seen it. This case was very interesting. It opened up my eyes. This case, now I'm off on a tangent here, but I'm going to try to tie it back in. I'm going to tie it back into why I don't think that Florida has the right, and I don't think the law even says that they have to take down LGBTQ paraphernalia, like flags from the classroom. Now, the school might ask them, teachers might do it on their own, but the law doesn't say that. And in fact, the Constitution, based on at least Tinker versus Des Moines, I'm not fully versed in all these types of cases, but I read this opinion, and they're very long. Based on Tinker, yes, it is constitutional. You can't have those up. Let me show you. The case Tinker versus Des Moines was referenced, and I got off on the sidetrack reading the opinion. The Tinker family wanted to show support for a Christmas truce in the Vietnam War. 4 of their kids and 1 friend wore black armbands to school, and they got suspended. So I just show the receipts here. Tinker vs. Des Moines shows that the First Amendment is far too vague. This looks like a terrible decision. This is my opinion. They ruled in favor of the family wearing armbands based on the response of others. That's really all the ruling was based on. It wasn't based on really the First Amendment. It was saying, okay, you can go ahead and do it as long as it's not causing a disruption in the school. And it applied to teachers as well. Basically, the First Amendment in this case is determined by mob rule. Here are the receipts. At least if it could not be justified by a showing that the students' activities would materially and substantially disrupt the work and discipline of the school. Led school authorities to forecast substantial disruption of or material interference with school activities. So that what the school said, you can't wear them because we think it's going to disrupt activities. And the Supreme Court said you didn't have any proof that it did. And no disturbances or disorders on the school premises, in fact, occurred. So they're basically defining the First Amendment in this case at the school just based on mob rule. So my interpretation is you can bring an LGBTQ flag to a school as long as teachers and parents and other students aren't distracted and complaining about it. So you can see how eye-opening that is to me and that it makes sense. The Florida bill does not, separate from this ruling, the Florida bill does not say anything about you can't bring in an LGBTQ flag. The key word in the Florida bill is the word instruct. There's nothing in the bill, I have a typo here, but there's nothing in the bill that says a teacher can't mention a same-sex spouse, by my interpretation. I'm not a huge fan of the bill. Like I said before, I am for parental rights, and that's what I think the bill truly is about. But it's a tough bill to roll out. They did not do a good enough job clarifying what crosses the line. You have to have, this bill is about setting boundaries. And you're going to set a boundary, but if people don't know the exact boundary, there's room for them to use their imagination into what you mean.
So this one is about pronouns. Now I'm going to start with a preface that you should be talking to your students about pronouns. Everyone has a pronoun, and you shouldn't be assuming what they are. Just like you shouldn't assume what someone's name is, right? Like if I went up to you and I was like, hey, George, and you're like, no, my name's Kyle. And I said, no, it's George. And you were like, no, it's Kyle. And then I responded by saying, no, I can tell by the way that you look that you're a George. That would be ridiculous. And that's how ridiculous you sound when you assume people's pronouns. But I figure that anyone following my page already knows that and is already talking about pronouns with their students. So the real tip on how to be more inclusive in your classroom is to stop calling them preferred pronouns. That's horrible. My pronouns aren't a preference. I don't prefer that you call me she, her. It's not a preference, it's my gender. Please respect it. They are my pronouns. They are not my preferred pronouns. They are my pronouns. So in your classroom, just start calling them pronouns. Stop using the word prefer as if, your gender is a preference. It's not.
I've talked about this multiple times. I said, as far as pronouns go, my boundary is I will use he, she, him, her, period. That's it. I'm not using they, them. I'm not using it. I'm not using made up pronouns. And I say the reason for that is I'm not against the made up pronouns or they, them, or it. I think we need to establish a relationship of trust. So if you don't want to be called he, her, she, I'm going to honor that. I'll just call you by your name. But I'm not going to call a made up pronoun. I set the boundaries. I want to respect you. I want you to respect me. And I actually want us to build a relationship to the point where I can honor that and you can honor my beliefs. So I set those boundaries. It's just arbitrary. They've never come up in real life. But it's important to have them detailed enough and explained well enough to show I'm not trying to hate you. I need respect. I'm going to respect you. They did not do this with the parental rights bill. So they allowed people, bad faith actors like the gay people type, like say stupid stuff like that.
By the way, Mark Hamill even tweeted out, "Gay."
Lots of them.
Gay. Really sticking it to the man.
Did you watch some of the recent Star Wars movies?
Yeah, well, he also unfortunately tweeted out this picture, which just seems like, this is what we're talking about. It's not appropriate ruining a children's, it's Disney.
To label it as don't say gay instead of asking for clarification. The word gay is not in the bill, as many should know by now, because we've been talking about this the whole year, basically. So it protects both ways. A teacher cannot instruct that a heterosexual lifestyle is better than another lifestyle. So the people earlier in the video who are saying, well, straight people can leave their pictures up and same-sex couples can't, that's not true. The word instruct needs to be clarified better. Having a picture of a heterosexual or same-sex partner or even LGBTQ paraphernalia is not instructing children. Now, as long as, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just giving you my layperson opinion. You can have your own, do your own. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. This is just we have to be able to talk about these things. In my opinion, if you have the LGBTQ flag, you are constitutionally, based on Tinker v. Des Moines, you are constitutionally protected as long as it doesn't cause a disruption in the school. But when you instruct, it would be like saying support pride. So if you have a poster that's a pride poster and it says everyone support pride, that to me now crosses the line into instructing someone to do something, which is an opinion. It's not just stating a fact. If you have a poster in the class and you say, hey, there's a pride parade going on in the city this week, to me, that is instructing. If you just have the pride flag, that's not instructing. I could be wrong again, my interpretation. This bill is important. What we need in our country are defined boundaries of respect. I think what people are concerned about potentially, I don't know this for sure, but what you might see concern about is if this bill is trying to protect some type of neutrality in the classroom. Some people might not be able to have the pictures of their same-sex spouse in the classroom and be able to handle questions from students in the proper way. So they might just want to, just to be safe, take down the pictures and try to avoid the conversation if you can't have it, if you don't have, these people are very emotional and they don't think logically. So you need some logic here to understand where the line of opinion or fact is. That's why the discussion of what is a woman is so important. If you don't know what opinion is, and if you don't know what fact is, then you don't even know where the line is.
Just trying to start by getting to the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really uncomfortable with that language of getting to the truth.
Why is that uncomfortable?
Because it sounds actually deeply transphobic to me.
If you can't have those pictures up without espousing your opinion on children, I'm going to go over that in a little bit more detail, then you shouldn't be a teacher. But there is a part of me that says I would prefer if we just let it be a free-for-all and let the free market decide. Do you want to go to a class where a teacher teaches critical gender theory? No, parents wouldn't want to do that. They would leave the school. I think the free market ultimately will handle this without it having to be legislated. But since that's a dream scenario, let's focus on what's reality. The boundary is teaching opinion as fact, what not to do. In this video, I've played it before on the other channel, Clips and Classics. I don't think he had any bad intent. There's a teacher here I'm going to play a video from. I don't think he had any bad intent. He obviously put serious thought into presenting this to the class. But if it were to happen in Florida after this bill passed, I think there are violations of the bill. I don't even know what state that person was. I'm just using hypothetically if it were in Florida after this bill was in effect July 1st.
And something cool about me, Miss Hammond? All right. So something that's really cool and unique about who I am is that I am transgender. So we touched a little bit about that at the beginning of this week in the book that Miss Hammond read, but I'm going to give you my explanation about what it means to be transgender as well. So when babies are born, the doctor looks at them and they make a guess about whether the baby is a boy or a girl based on what they look like. And most of the time that guess is 100% correct. There are no issues whatsoever. But sometimes the doctor is wrong. The doctor makes an incorrect guess. When the doctor makes a correct guess, that's when a person is called cisgender. When a doctor's guess is wrong, that's when they are transgender. So I'm a man, but when I was a baby, the doctors told my parents I was a girl. And so my parents gave me a name that girls typically have and bought me clothes that girls typically wear. And until I was 18 years old, everyone thought I was a girl. And this was super, super uncomfortable for me because I knew that wasn't right. The way I like to describe it is like wearing a super itchy sweater. The longer you wear it, the itchier it gets, and the only way to make the itching stop is to have everyone see and know the person that you really are. So when I was 18, I told my family and my friends that I'm really a boy, and it was like this huge weight had been lifted off of my shoulders, and I had the freedom to be who I truly am. And even though this experience is super challenging sometimes, it made me the person I am, and I'm super proud to be transgender.
This is a great clip for us to have the discussion of where the boundaries are. Because what I really like about this clip, and it's from Libs of TikTok. I'm going to talk about Libs of TikTok in my closing. What I like about this is some of Libs of TikTok's, all of what Libs of TikTok does is valuable. What I really find valuable is that the teacher seemed to have good intent. And that gives us a better place to start. When the teacher says something cool and unique about me is...
And something cool about me, Miss Hammond? All right, so something that's really cool and unique about who I am is that I am transgender.
To me, that's technically a violation of my interpretation of instructing. Because what you're doing is saying that to be transgender is to be cool. I would be okay with it. I think you're close on the line. I think I don't think most people would have a problem with that. I think a clear stepping over the line is if you said, and I don't think anybody does this, but if somebody were to say, I think it's cooler to be transgender than not, that would be clearly over the line of instructing. Saying that a doctor guesses gender when babies are born is instruction.
So when babies are born, the doctor looks at them and they make a guess about whether the baby is a boy or a girl.
Remember, I'm going back to the bill. Section 3 of the bill is the only part that really, in my opinion, is what we're talking about here. Everything else is more about reporting to parents and stuff like that. Saying doctors guess gender when babies are born is instructing children on something that is not a fact, and that is, to me, that is religion. You're getting into opinion, and you have faith in your religion, and that's what you're saying. You can't be teaching children that doctors guess when babies pop out. Clear violation of the boundary. And I don't know what the punishment is or anything like that. I think this teacher would benefit from learning how to be neutral and talk about themselves to the class.
When the doctor makes a correct guess, that's when a person is called cisgender.
The term cisgender to me is a violation. It can be viewed as a derogatory term. That is a term of gender theory. That term should not be used. This bill is only K through 3. I don't think that term should be used at all in high school. So when the bill says classroom instruction by school personnel on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur, I do not interpret that as teachers having to pull down pictures of same-sex partners. I do not interpret that as teachers having to even pull down LGBTQ paraphernalia, as long as it's not a call to action type of stuff. I think the part about when the teacher said, I felt like I was in an itchy sweater,
because I knew that wasn't right. The way I like to describe it is like wearing a super itchy sweater. The longer you wear it, the itchier it gets, and the only way to make the itching stop is to have everyone see and know the person that you really are.
I think that's just the teacher telling their personal story. I don't think that they were telling, so what they said, I thought on that part was fine. If they would have said, I felt like I was in an itchy sweater. If you feel like you're in an itchy sweater, come talk to me or something like that, that would have been crossing the line. But if they just said, I'm in an itchy sweater, I felt like I was in an itchy sweater. I think it's a good analogy for kids. I felt like I was in an itchy sweater, and I felt better after I became who I really truly was. Got nothing but love for you. This is not about hate. This is about setting boundaries, because everybody doesn't agree with, certain lifestyle choices, ideology. I think there was nothing wrong with it. But if the teacher didn't cross the line and a student came to the teacher and said, hey, Mr. Whoever, I feel like I'm in an itchy sweater now. What the parental rights bill does is say the teacher has to tell the parent that. You can't keep that secret. Somebody help me. Why is this? I know ignorance is the big problem here, but if you know this, and you're on the left and you disagree with it, explain to me why you disagree with that. Even if the parent is you want to label them as anti-LGBTQ or something like that. If they've never broken the law, they can be that. I'm not saying that's what I am. I'm not saying I'm condoning that. If my children were like that, I want to embrace them and get better understanding. But we have to understand everybody doesn't agree with that in the world. That's not illegal. So you can't say, well, I don't want to tell the parents because I think the parents are anti-LGBTQ. The parents are the ones who control the child. And if they're not breaking any laws, then you don't have that right. It's a parental right. To end with this, Libs of TikTok is where I got that video from. There is significant value to someone who can curate specific content with all this stuff we've got in social media. I've been on TikTok. I know it's a Chinese op, and the government actually, FCC, acknowledged that recently. But I've been on TikTok, and I've never ever seen one of those. I've never searched it or anything, so it wouldn't be in my algorithm, but I've never seen one, only through Libs of TikTok. There's value to that. Libs of TikTok shouldn't be banned. None of these discussions should be banned as long as you're not infringing on someone else's rights. Why? Because we can have mature conversations to help each other out. We can be respectful. And that's how we can find, okay, here's truth, here's opinion. If you respect the truth, I can respect your opinion. Let me know what you think. Take care.